The Rambam in the 6th Perek, Hilchos Beis Bechira, he begins a mikdash, kuloi lehoya b'mishar u'b'mayla ha'ar. That the Beis HaMikdash was not on level ground, but it went up on the mountain. And kishadim nichnas misham mizrachi el shuhar habayis. So after a person walks into the eastern gate of Har HaBayis, ma'alech ad seif achil b'shav, it was level until the end of the chil. So the Mishnah says you have the Seirik, then you have the Chil, and then you have the steps. So Eilu min Achil Ezeres HaNoshim b'shteim esrei mailas. Then there were 12 steps going up to the Ezeres Noshim. Then the Ezeres Noshim was leveled. Then it went up 15 steps to the Ezeres Yisrael, to Rishar Nikner. And then the Ezeres Yisrael was flat. And then you went up to the Ezeres Kainim. So there it said there was one step which was 1 amma, then there were 3 steps, a half amma apiece, that's what the duchen was, and then the entire Ezeres Kainim and the Mizbeach and Bein Ulam le Mizbeach was all equal, and then you went up 12 steps to go into the Ulam and into the Heichel, and the entire Heichel all the way to the end of the Kedesh Kadoshim was even. That's Bekitz of the Rambam, the first 4 halachas from Perek Shishi. The Rebbe Toshem Mem Dalit, Parshas Masei, so the Rebbe asked on this Rambam, why does the Rambam start off with Shlila? That it wasn't even, it was on an incline. Why doesn't the Rambam say that the Mikdash was on an incline, it kept going up? And the Rebbe asked him, why is this halach? He's just describing the Seder over here. So the Rebbe says, first of all, that's a din, it's a halacha. So the Rebbe said in the Sichas, it was muga, it's here in the back of the Sichas, in the Chedushim B'Biurim, it's also called the Sichas, Parshas Rei, Chelach Chavtes. So the Rebbe said, Yesh Leimar, that these elevations are li'ikuva, which means that if the Beis HaMikdash was built, and it was not built in such a way with the proper elevations, so then it's invalid as a Beis HaMikdash. That's an answer the Rebbe gave in Chelach Chavtes. Tovshem Mem Tes, the Rebbe spoke about this again, and he spoke about how it's not likuva. The Rebbe writes in Ha'ar over there, Sefer HaSichas. The Rebbe says, Leik HaMeshakos of Chelach Chavtes and Lukut HaSichas. It seems the Maskon is like that. And it's allowed after likuva, but certainly Lachatchila that it has to be built in such a way. And then the Rebbe said that the reason why the Rambam B'chalas to say this, that since earlier the Rambam said in Hilchos Beis Bechira the Beis HaMikdash was built to correspond to the Mishkan. It was on the same Seder as the Mishkan. The Rambam compares different parts of the Beis HaMikdash to the Mishkan. So since the Mishkan was flat, so the Rambam has to be mafaret that the Beis HaMikdash was not flat, that it was all milas hahar. So the Rebbe said, Gufa, this we have to understand. Why Taka was it different? Other things were similar. Why was this different? And the Rebbe says in the Sikha that it's a difference between the essence of the Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash, that the Mishkan was a binyan arai, that it moved around from place to place. And the place, wherever the Mishkan sat, did not make the place into a holy place. They had all the masoyas that went from place to place, and there was no Kedusha remaining in that place once they moved. And even before they moved, the Rebbe said that the Kedusha was in the Mishkan itself, and the Yeriyas, and the Karoshim, and so on, and not in the place where the Mishkan was. Mashayin Kenyan of Beis HaMikdash was to make Hamakam Asher Yivchar Hashem, that the place Hashem chose, that the place itself has within it a Kedusha. That's the main difference between the Beis HaMikdash and the Mishkan. And therefore the Rebbe said, from Dir B'Tachteinim, that the Eibishter made it, that the places where the Kedusha was more revealed, ended up having been reflecting in the Gashmias of the place, that the holier the place was, the higher the place is. So that's why that we see that that people couldn't go in, that could go into the Chil, and the Har HaBayis were not allowed to go into Ezeres Noshim, so it's a higher level of Kedusha. So that affected the Gashmias of that part of the Beis HaMikdash that is physically higher, which is why you need 12 steps to go up. And the Ezeres Yisrael is Lachdi Azara, so that's even higher, 15 steps to go there. So that's why, because of the additional Kedusha, that was pale on the place, that the place became physically higher. So to the Ezeres Chainim, and so to the Eichel. That's in general the husband that the Rebbe gives in the Sikh. And explains the whole union of the karbonis and the Beis HaMikdash with the union from Gili Elokus, that it has to be Begoli, that even when you're talking about other mitzvahs, what's the difference between karbonis and the Beis HaMikdash, between other mitzvahs, that other mitzvahs, even though there's a dira b'dachteinim, that it's only the ruchni shebagashmis. When a person puts on a tefillin, so they don't see a physical transformation of the tefillin. The tefillin, the taka transformed, is a dira b'dachteinim, but we cannot see with our fleshy eyes to see that there's additional kedusha. Mashenk and the karbonis and the Beis HaMikdash, everybody saw that the physical carbon got consumed by the Eish Shalamayla. So we saw that Bagashmias got kolul and had an aliyah to be included in Elokus. And therefore, since the Beis HaMikdash is from Gili Elokus, so therefore the Hamakam Asher Yivchar Hashem, so this was the place that Hashem shows that it's reflected in that place. If so, the Rebbe asks, what's with the Kedesh Kadoshim? The place which is most holy of everything. So the Rambam says, once you go in, the building itself, the Heichal, has the Ulam, the white part in the front, and then it has the Kedesh. We have the Meneira, the Shulchan, and the Mizbeach, Teres, and then you have the Kedesh Kadoshim, and all three of them are the same level. So how could it be, we see that there's a different level of Kedushim, but the Rebbe asks on the Kedesh Kadoshim, how could it be that the Kedesh Kadoshim was on the same level? The Rebbe says, the Bir al Chassidus, is that since the Kedesh Kadoshim is a place which is Ein Areich more Kedusha than the rest of the Beis HaMikdash. And Ein Areich Kedusha, there's more Asis in the Bilti Muga. The Bilti Muga, the Rebbe said, even if there was 1,000 steps, it wouldn't reflect the type of Kedusha you have in the Kedesh Kadoshim. It's a place of Nimnaim, noise. The Gilead, the Alakus that was there in the Kedesh Kadoshim was unlike anything in the entire rest of the world. So therefore, it's impossible to express the Kedusha, the additional Ali and Kedusha and Kedoshim by making it higher. So therefore it was made so flat, it was made the same way. That's what the Rebbe says over there. And the Sikha brings a Hiron of Eidos Hashem. Says that the Lashon Haram is very interesting. The Rambam doesn't say that this part was higher than this part. The Rambam says when a person walks in, Kesha Adam Nichnas, Eile min Achil Ezeres Noshe. Then he says, Eile min Men Eleiris Yisrael. He's talking about the person. What's the episode? I'm talking about somebody walking in. So the Rebbe says the Hiron of Eidos Hashem is the person has to be Eile Mimaila Lamaila, has to keep going up in his Aveda. He says when it comes to the Kedesh Kadoshim, which is the Indian from Gilead Yechida, the Indian from Mesiras Nefesh, that's not an Indian from Ali anymore. That's the Indian of Tachlis Abitl. That in order to be Magal, Yechida Shabanefesh, you don't do this by another Ali. You go by being totally bottled by Metzias. So therefore we don't have the Indian of the Kedesh Kadoshim being Eile Lamaila. So in the built in Mugad the Gesichah, so the Rebbe says that the Yesh Kama Pratim Bezev Etenel Chacham Yach Kamei. So in the Mugad the Gesichah, so the Rebbe put a couple of questions which come out when you look at the Rambam. And the Rebbe put in the Aris a number of things which also the Rebbe didn't answer all the questions over there, but there are a couple of questions the Rebbe points out. So the Rebbe says there's a number of very interesting Ha'aris. I think I end up with more questions than I have answers, but we'll go through as much as time permits. The Mishnah Kalim, the Rambam brings it in Perek Zayin, says that Eser Kedushas Hain. That there's 10 different levels of Kedusha. It says Eretz Yisrael is Mekudesh from all other Aratzes. And it says why. What's additionally have in Eretz Yisrael than the rest of the lands. And then he says, well, within Eretz Yisrael, you have Eser Kedushas. You have the cities which are Mekafas Chayma, you have Yerushalayim, all different levels of Kedusha, 10 different levels of Kedusha. Within the Beis HaMikdash, so the Rambam talks over here in this halacha that you start from Harabayas, and the Harabayas and the Chil are on the same level. The problem is that the Mishnah says, and the Rambam himself says it in the next Perek, that the Chil is on a higher level of Kedusha than the Harabayas. That there are some people that are allowed into the Harabayas and not allowed into the Chil. Okay, fine. Then you go up to the Ezras Noshim. The Ezras Noshim is even. And then you go up from the Ezras Noshim, you go up steps, there's 4 aliyahs, the Rambam says. From the Harabayas to Ezras Noshim is 1, then another one to the Eretz Yisrael, another one to the Ezras Kainim, and then another one into the Heichal, into the building. 4 aliyahs. But there's many more levels of Kedusha there. So the Chil is 1, and the Rambam doesn't have anything additional. For that matter, the Rambam doesn't say Harabayas either. About getting up to Harabayas, the Rambam does not explain in this parak. The Rebbe asks on the Chil, the Rebbe asks in the Hara, Yesh La'ayin, why is it that the Chil, since the Chil has an additional Kedusha the Harabayas doesn't have, why was it level with the rest of the Harabayas? And then the Rebbe, then you go straight for the Ezras Yisrael, fine. You go up to the Ezras Kainim, it's also good. But then you have Bein Ulam LaMizbeach, that between the Mizbeach, so you have the Mizbeach was in the Chatzar in Ezras Yisrael, so now we understand was flat. Okay, but Bein Ulam LaMizbeach, between that area over there had an additional level of Kedusha, which the Rambam lists from the Mishnah, and that was also flat. So from the Ezras Yisrael, Taka the Ezras Yisrael, to the Ezras Kainim you had to go up, but from the Ezras Kainim, and Bein Ulam Lemizbeach was flat. So the Rebbe asked in the Ara, why is it that was flat? And then when you get up into the building, so the Rebbe explains in the Sikha why it is that the Kedesh Kadoshim is even with the Kedesh. But it doesn't explain why the Ulam is even with the Kedesh. So there's a number of loose ends, Kiviyachal, that are here. The Rebbe later on, there's a number of different approaches to this. First of all, the Rebbe says we have to understand what does it mean Mikdash. When we say Mikdash, we say Beis HaMikdash. What is the Beis HaMikdash? So the very beginning, the first parak, Bilchos Beis HaBechira, he says the main things that you have over there, that you have the building, and then you have the Kedesh Kadoshim, you have a Kedesh, you have the Azara, the whole thing together is the Heichel, and then you have the Azara, and this is called the Mikdash. This is the Mikdash. The Rambam in his description in the Perek Aleph does not even include the Ezras Noshim, much less the Harabayis. So the Rebbe addresses this in a order that we have to understand lechatchila. What does it mean over here? And the Rambam says at the beginning of Allah, Hamikdash Kulei Leihaya B'Mishael B'Mayla Sahar B'Mayla Har. What does it mean Hamikdash Kulei? So the Rebbe wants to say B'Pasha. Since the Rambam said in Perek Aleph Halacha Hey that the Mikdash only includes the building on the Yazara, and over here the Rambam's also talking about the Ezras Nashim, so therefore he says Hamikdash Kulei. That's the first approach, which the Rebbe says. And the whole Langa Shula Agilion over here, about different days, about Gemara and Yevamis, that the Rambam quotes also the beginning of Perek Zayim, Ezehi Meira Mikdash. What's the meaning of Meira Mikdash? Lo Yikanis Adam Harabayis. In a certain matzav. So what do we see? That over there, from this Gemara Yevamis Davav, and the Rambam brings it to Halacha, that we see even the Harabayis is included in the Mikdash. And we see that the Rambam in Hilchas Beis HaBechira gives a whole discussion also about Harabayis. And the Rebbe goes further. He brings over here the Radak and Yecheskel with the same inyan, that the entire mountain is called Beis HaMikdash. Then he brings from Meiri, of the next daf in Yevamis, that the Gabin Ezras Noshim is a machlekes, that if a person's tameh, and he walks into Ezras Noshim, is he chayav kares or not? So he brings that the Meiri says that the machlekes atoli, is that called Mikdash? Is it part of the Mikdash or is it not part of the Mikdash? The Rambam in Perek Zayin says that it's part of that midrabanim, it's mekudesh. The additional kedusha of the Ezras Noshim is midrabanim. He brings down Kamadeyas over there. And the Rebbe says, "Avo yesh litchek." There's another teretz. So let's just stop. According to this teretz, it would turn out that the Rambam in this perek is talking about the Ezras Noshim. Hamikdash Kulei includes the Ezras Noshim. Okay, so he doesn't have to faren for the chil. The chil is not a problem because the Rambam is talking about Hamikdash was Mamayla Sahar. So since the Rambam, according to this explanation, the Rambam is defining Mikdash as beginning with the Ezras Noshim. Even on Perek Aleph, he says that it begins with the Ezras Yisrael. But since he says that we have Mikdash Kulei, that comes to be Marbe the Ezras Noshim, so therefore he's got to start with the Aliyah. The Ezras Noshim has to be higher. That's fine. We don't have to explain the Chil anymore. Still left with a couple of problems. We still don't understand Ben Umul Mizbeach. Well, let's leave it that is the problem. Then the Rebbe says, Avayesh Litchek, Shagam Mikdash Kulei, Havanos Lechelka Mikdash, that are called Mikdash, that it says over in the Perek Aleph. In other words, that the Rambam, even though it says Hamikdash Kulei Loyoi B'Mishra B'Mayla Sahar, and then he starts talking about the Ezras Noshim, you could be deichik and say he's just describing what's happening over here, but the inyan of kedusha that you have in the Beis HaMikdash reflected in the different elevations, that starts from the Azara. That obviously could be deichik like that. Ein Kam V'Keim, you look in Encyclopedia Talmudis, you look in Encyclopedia Talmudis on the Beis HaMikdash. It seems that that's the way that Rav Paskim hold that the Beis HaMikdash. When we say the Beis HaMikdash, that this starts from the Azara, not the Ezras Noshim. In any case, we're still stuck with the problem bein Ulam Mizbeach, which the Rebbe says, look at Order 46. So what's Order 46? Order 46, where the Rebbe gave his hezbollah about how a person has to be Eila from this level to another level, and the Rebbe brings the Heiron Aveda, that so to the person has to continually elevate himself in Yonah Kedusha, Lo'er Miteiras Ha'ela. He brings down from Teiras Ha'ela. Teiras Ha'ela is the sefer from the Ramah. So it's well known that the Ramah, and aside from being Yitzim B'Yad Ramah, the Yad Rama, as the Chassam Sefer says, being the Pesach of Chol HaDeiros, so too he was very big in astronomy and Jewish philosophy, and was a big Makubal, wrote Sifrei Kabbalah, many Svarim he wrote. So Teiras Ha'ela is a whole biur on the Beis HaMikdash and the Aveda, the Karbonis in the Beis HaMikdash, where he goes into Pratim, often explaining Api Kabbalah, why is there 7 kvasim on this Yom Tov, and why are there 2 elim, and why is there 1 soyer, and 2 seirim, and why is it, he goes, and why are there 12 steps, and why do the steps have to be a half amma like this, and a half amma like this, where this step is 1 amma, a biurim, a ruchim, in Inyane Kabbalah, from the Ramah, Teiras Ha'ela. The Rebbe quotes 3 different parakim, over here from Teiras Ha'ela, where the Ramah explains some of these Inyanim. Not all of them seem to fit, it seems to be a different kav, but some of them fit very well what the Rebbe says over here, and Biurim and Yonah Chassidus. So just bring one, maybe it'll be 2. That when you have the Heichal, so the Ramah says over there in Teiras Ha'ela, that the entire building refers to Elam HaElyon. That the Ezras Nashim is a person reaches the Maila of Seichel that he can reach through being Mizbeinen on the creation. The Chil and the Harabayas, that's B'chlal in Yana Elam. It's not Seichel in Elam, so it doesn't need any Aliyah. The Ramah says, because the person's higher than that, so he's not going to be elevated by that, so therefore it's not reflected in a higher elevation, at least not in the Ramah. Pashas, you can say the Ram doesn't have to be Mefaret. Harabayas, but Pashas was a Har, yeah, so it doesn't have to be Mefaret, it was higher, it's called Harabayas, so obviously it had to be higher. But there was no steps, there was no measurement about how high it had to be. In any case, therefore, that could all be on an even level. Masha'enkin, the Ezras Noshim, is on a level which is the Seichel, which comes out to Shaychas the Tevis, that has to be higher. The Azara is the Inyan of the Aliyah, which comes from his Beinenus in the Nivroim, which are not Nifsodim, those that exist forever. He brings from Moran Nevuchim, that you have the Galgalim, which are not only they're Kaim Be'ish, not only Kaim Be'min, that the actual Galgalim, you have the planets, and then you have the Mazolas, he says, and he brings down different levels, that the Azara, the Ezras Yisrael, and the Ezras Kainim, is being from the Galgalim, and then the Mazolas, and then higher. He brings down that in general, that although you have Bein Ulam LeMizbeach is a higher level within the Mazolas themselves, but since it's all B'chal, the union from Mazolas, so therefore you don't need an Aliyah there. When you get to the Elam HaElyon, the Ramah says that the whole inyan of the Heichal is the Elam HaElyon, and the most that a person can reach through his Seichel and through his Beinenus, through his Chachma, is to know that there's something which is higher, but to go into the different Pratim, which are the different levels. There's Ulam, there's Kedesh HaKadoshim, that's beyond the person B'chlal, and therefore it's not reflected in the Aliyahs and the different levels, since a person through his Beinenus and his understanding cannot reach these 3 different levels. It's in a way similar to what it says of Chassidus. It says many places of Chassidus that the Heichal corresponds to Elam Atzilus, and the Azara corresponds to Elam Mizbeach, and that's why it is that you have the Mizbeach. You have in the Binyan Mikdash, Mitzvahs Binyan Mikdash, Mitzvah other places of Chassidus, that you have the Mizbeach and the Korban is taking place in the Azara. Why is that? Because the Mizbeach is the inyan of Malchus of Atzilus, as is Yered, to Mimavare Berurim and Elam Mizbeach. So that's the inyan from the Korbanos, is the Vedas HaBirurim, the Behem, the Gematria Ban, and through that it gets elevated up, so the Mizbeach is like an extension, Elam Atzilus. Masha'enk, in the Kedesh Kadoshim, it says, not even though Elam Atzilus, we would say is all one level, but the matches the Rebbe's beer over here, that it says that the Inyan Kedesh Kadoshim is Ein Sof Mamish, as it's Nislavish and Elam Atzilus, so it's B'chal higher, but again, as the Rebbe says in the Sikha, that the Inyan of height, which is so Ein Areich, it is not reflected in the different miles.